All right, let's go over some answers together here. Most of this was review from the previous day, as well as using what I refer to as the cast rule. And the cast rule basically just tells us who's positive where, and is very, very helpful, you'll see in the near future. So what I basically did, and you can see kind of my work here. Let me zoom in a little bit on it if I can here. I'm going up and down but not zooming in. Here we go. There we go. So what I basically did is right beside it, I made a little quadrant picture and just figured out what quadrant I was in. So in the first one I was in quadrant 4, and cosine C is positive there. 198 is in quadrant 3, and sine is negative there. And in this case, I'm in 167, puts me in quadrant 2, which is where only sine would be positive, so we get a negative answer there. So if we slide this over, I did the same thing. 233 is in here. The cast rule says T is positive. 15 puts me in the A category. Ding, always positive. 145 puts me over here where sine is the positive group. So the cast rule makes it very easy to know who's positive where. Now the next group, let me zoom in here. I did the same thing, but there are more than one answer in some of these cases, because just because sine is positive, there's two places sine could be positive, in the all category or in the sine category. So that's why 1 and 2 are selected. And the next one, tangent, is negative. That means it can't be in quadrant 1, can't be in quadrant 3. So it's in 2 or 4. Sine is positive, so I'm now in 1 or 2. But cosine was positive, so I must only be in 1. Let's try, oh, I can't scroll here for some reason. Come on, buddy, scroll. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see if I can scroll this over. It took me a minute. Sorry, guys. Cosine is positive, so I'm either in the all category or the cosine, 1 or 4. Sine was negative, so I'm not in all and I'm not in sine. Tangent's positive, so I'm in the all category or the T, but cosine was negative, so I must then be there. This is just a little review of the previous questions, which is finding the reference angle. 100 degrees is 80 away from the x-axis. 324 is 36 away from the x-axis. 99 is 81 away from the x-axis. 250 is 70 away. 171 is 9 away. And 234 is 54 away. Remember, these are all the angle formed from the terminal arm of the angle to the x-axis. More of the cast rule here. So let's see if we make sense of this. Sine is positive, but cosine is negative. I must be in quadrant 2. Sine is negative and cosine is positive. I must be in quadrant 4. Tangent's positive, but sine is negative. I must be in quadrant 3. Tangent's negative, cosine's negative. I must be where sine is positive in quadrant 2. They had me do some estimating of the angles. I'm not too concerned about that. Maybe just, if you got yourself within the right range, that's fine. There's a bit more to that than maybe just an easy estimation, but basically, as long as you're in the range between the 90, 180 or the 270, 360. All right, this was kind of fun. This is plot down the point 3 and negative 4, so 3 to the right and 4 down. Using the Pythagorean theorem, you'd get the 5. Now you have the 3 sides. You can begin to discuss the angle or the values for sine, cosine, and tangent. Cosine is adjacent, or x over hypotenuse, 3 over 5. Notice it's positive and it should be in this quadrant. Sine is the negative 4, down 4, and then the 5 here, so that's its value. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, and it's a negative 4/3. Now, how do we get the angle? Well, what you can do is, I just did the inverse of cosine just because it was the positive values. And you get an angle, the reference angle, basically. And then I was able to say, okay, what would that be then in this quadrant? So it would be 306.87, because what remained was 53.13. Finally, the same thing happened in this question, where I had a negative 5 and then a positive 12. I did the Pythagorean theorem, and I got 13. Now I'm ready to start to write in some values. Cosine is the x over the hypotenuse, negative 5 over 13. Sine is 12 over 13. Notice it's positive. It should be in this quadrant. And then tangent's 12 over negative 5. Now again, when I put that into the calculator, when I did the inverse of sine, I got 67.38, which is basically the reference angle. And then I found what that would be in this particular quadrant. Great.